Today is Thursday, and I'm going to be going over, this is Emily, by the way, I'm sorry. This is Emily. Last week we went over starting an illustration in Clip Studio. We went over sketching, thumbnails, sketching, and line art. And this week we're going to continue that illustration that we went over. We're going to do color flats, shading, and then I'm also going to show you how to do color adjustments. I was making a little sample here, so I just drew this really quick cat. There's a color flats, the shading, and then I didn't get to the color adjustments yet, but that's okay because we're going to go over that with our this drawing that we made last week. I'm using Clip Studio, but you can use Clip Studio or Photoshop. You can also use pretty much any drawing program like GIMP or Fire Alpaca as well. They're all gonna have about the same tools that I'm using today. So this is the file that we made last week. It's this girl with a frog bucket hat and a big leaf and some flowers. So we're gonna jump right into the color flats of this. So right now, oh, I should folder this, hold on. So right now, we've got the flowers in their own folder. We've got the leaf in its own folder. And then we've got the girl in their own folder. So we can do each one of these separately, like the color flats, shading should all go in their respective folders. And you can, I didn't label these, but it is good practice to label these. So this is going to be my base white layer. And then these three are all line art layers. You can click the 1, 2, 3 and shift click. So I clicked the top one and then I shift clicked on this bottom one and that selected all three. I'm going to right click and then merge the selected layers so all of this line art's on the same layer. I'm going to retitle that line art girl. Base white line art and flowers. This is called base white. Okay, so above the base white layer, but below the line art layers is where we're going to be working. So in between those two types of layers. We're going to start with the girl first since she's the focal point. I'm going to turn off everything else and just focus on her. I don't know what this layer is, but I'm going to... Okay, so I'm going to make a new layer. And I usually like to start on the skin tone. And depending on how you decide to draw, you can do all of your base colors on the same layer, or you can separate each of the layers. Today, I think I'm going to do them all in the same layer because I'm lazy. And also, you have ways of like restricting where your color goes if you need to. So I'm going to click the G twice, which will take you to your bucket tool, which is right over here. If you're in Clip Studio, I have it set to refer multiple, and the close gap is really high, and the color margin is really low. And this will allow you to just click around and make that. Yeah, that'll be a fine. I don't know. Okay, and then I'm gonna click white. I clicked the P for the pen tool, and I'm just going to draw in where I want this color to be, because the color gap tool isn't gonna register with such a big gap. So I just manually drew that in. And then the eyes, let's make them blue, right now at least. And we're gonna give them probably brown hair, I guess. This is all like changeable later. We're gonna go with like a nice green color. I'm gonna make the zipper yellow. Okay. So we've got the base colors for her. And then we're gonna go on to our leaf. Yes, this is part 2. So I'm gonna turn on the leaf layer. I'm gonna use a pretty saturated green. Oh, another thing is that you can turn on the clip at layer below, which will restrict the color to only be from, like, here. See how this is going off into this corner? This button will allow you to it'll only show what like say there's that white underneath it, it'll restrict colors to only show what's on that white layer. So anything, yes, I can show you how to save the work. So if you go to File, Save or Save As, and then save it, like it's good to do this at the beginning too, just so you have, like just in case like your computer shuts down or something, So if you click Save As and name this one, I named it Flower Girl. So I'm going to hit Save so that I have a copy of that. And then I'll show you how to turn it into an image that you can upload onto anything or print out after we finish. That way you'll know how to export it as well. Yeah. And then, so I did the leaf. Now we're going to do the flowers, which I need to turn on. Then make a new layer. And I'm going to do a darker green for these leaves. And I think I'm going to do a pale blue. Probably want to repeat the eyes actually. We can press I to do the eyedropper tool to grab that blue again. And then we can zoom in and color. This blue background layer is distracting and too close to my colors, so I'm going to probably make it pink. Ooh, not that shade of pink. Turn off the full and multiple. Ooh, yes. Let's do that for right now. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my coloring of the flowers now that the background color isn't the same as or so close to the blue color that I'm using. Forgot to turn back on refer multiple. You can also like click and then hold down and drag across to fill in spots. Okay, and then now I see that there's like a line here where the base white didn't pick up. So I'm going to switch to a white. And I'm going to just draw across there. Now that white's completely filled in and nothing's showing through from the lower layers. And then I'm going to switch back to my blue color. Sorry, I had an alarm set for I don't know why. And I'm going to fill in any extra white spots that it thought that it needed to fill in, or it didn't think that it needed to fill in, but it did. And also erase right here. I'm on the white layer right now, and because that upper layer is got this pink bar next to it, which means that it clips at the layer below, I can erase the white layer and it'll also change what the clipping mask looks like for the layer above. Okay. I don't like that, so I'm going to change it. Okay. So that is pretty good. How do I use all the tools on the left side? That's a really good question. I had a previous webinar on this, which is still available on DoSpace, I believe. But if you hover over the tools, it'll tell you what the name of it is. And then, so this is like your normal toolbar. And then this is your sub toolbar. So right now I'm in the pen tool. And my sub tool is this pen, the G pen. And then these are my settings for the G pen. Yes, it should still be viewable on Facebook. I can try and get a link to it. Oh, perfect. And then, so right now I'm just on the G pen and I'm on the normal pen settings. I don't even have this adjusted from its how it comes out of the box. I just like it how it is. But then now that I've got the base colors done, we're going to start shading. And for shading, I am going to be using the watercolor, dense watercolor brush. And there are lots of different ways to shade. So the way I like to do it, you kind of work in like a teardrop method when you're looking at this. Let me, just gonna make a new layer. So I'm gonna grab probably this green color because this is different from all the other colors that I have. If I have a green color, I need to pick out what my highlights are going to be, and I need to pick out what my shades are going to be. So I'm going to make a new layer. Say this is my example base color. I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to clip it at the layer below. And I am going to, this is where my color originally is, my base color. And then I am going to go more towards purple. So I'm going to go down and slightly more saturated for my shading. And then I'm going to get my dense watercolor brush. I'm going to pick a size that I like and kind of block in the colors. And then if I need like further shading, I can go further down or Like, just follow like this teardrop shape and use that for additional shading. And I'm pressing really lightly. You can also, if you don't have pen pressure sensitivity, you can mess with these settings to make it more transparent and layer it in. But I have pen pressure sensitivity, so I'm doing that. And this is considered a hard shade, where more over here is considered a soft shade. And you just kind of build up the values. And right here, if I want this to be softer, I would go in where there's like this medium color or even this base color and lightly brush in to create a gradient. And then you can keep grabbing that lighter color and switch back to your brush to blend it in. And you can make it larger if it's getting a little streaky. And usually, like, I was really zoomed in on this. Nobody's going to look at your drawing 2 inches from their face. Some people do, but nobody's going to look at it that close. Your viewing angle, like, is probably going to be from really far away. So when you look at something really far away, it kind of your brain fills in the gaps and your eyes fill in the gaps of what you're looking at. So this looks a lot smoother than it does from far away. Or it can. I'm being really blotchy right now. And then like if you want to go towards your highlights, you want your base color, and then you want to move more towards yellow, and so ever so slightly more towards yellow and slightly desaturated. And then you would be able to build this color value. Hold on, something froze. Oh, there we go. Hold on. My tablet stopped working. That's okay. I guess I won't use it. I won't use my tablet. I'll figure it out how to do it, not with my tablet. Not doing it with my tablet, I would probably use this bar, this lasso tool. Oh, good. It started working again. Okay. But yeah, you do the teardrop. Oh. Select your colors in like a teardrop, and we'll just go right into coloring the main thing. I'm going to, before we do that, I'm going to decide where my light's coming from. My light's gonna come from here, like ish, like this side. So shadows are gonna be here, and I'm deciding that I want a warm light, and that means that I'm gonna have cool shadows. So if my light is yellow, that means my shadows are going to be cool, like purple. Okay, we'll leave this up here for reference. And then I'm going to start with the girl. We can turn off these other things. I'm going to make a new layer. And I'm going to start with probably the face first. When you're drawing like a person or a character, your eyes are naturally going to try and find a face in things. So if there's eyes or a face, the eye is naturally drawn to it. So that's something to, I guess, be aware of. I'm going to go, this is my base color. I'm going to go more towards the purple, which makes it like more orange. And we're going to go slightly down, more saturated. And then we're going to lay down the color flats. Oh yeah, hold on. I want to make my line art a reference layer. And because I made it a reference layer, it'll help me. Well, I guess it won't really help me, but it's fine. And for this, you kind of need to think of the planes on a face. So technically, these are planes on a face, and like the nose and lips are all on separate planes. And this chin area. Yes. Okay. Also, I'm going to be pretty messy with this. We can adjust it later. Or if you only want to focus on one color, you can use your wand tool, which is W, selection for referred layers. So I'm referring to, I select only the skin tone. And that'll help me keep restrained within where the skin tone is. And go back and will it be, I switched to the lighter color to add that back in here because it's too harsh. And then where you need a really hard edge, you can go back to like your pen tool or your hard eraser tool to do that. So you're just going to constantly kind of be switching between your colors to get your desired effect. Just erase. And then, so that's kind of shading. And then you can go more dramatic on your shading by like making the color darker and using your pen tool to make hard shadows. So it's not fuzzy and gradient like this is, but instead there's a dramatic and crisp edge, which is technically a hard shadow. And you'll technically find hard shadows like inside your soft shadows, so because you'll know like when you kind of like when you stand in the sun and you like look at your shadow, you see that you've got multiple shadows and they're all of different opacities and colors. But some have like a really soft edge and some have like really crisp outline. I'm not finding that I like this line, so I'm gonna just eat it and get rid of it. Okay. And aside from that, I think I also want to add a bit of pink, like blush in here. And with that, I'm going to do the airbrush tool and I'm going to go soft and it's going to be like fairly large. Oh, I also should do this on a different layer so it's not affecting my current lines or my current shading. And also because I just like spritzed it on there. That way we can come in and erase the parts where we don't actually want that. I'm going to go to the J tool, which is your blur, and move up this blush because I went kind of crazy on it. I'm going to push it up and yes, it's very subtle, but it makes a big difference adding that color in there. Okay, and then you can see where I was like really messy. But I have my selection still on. So I can hit select, invert selected area, and then on my shading layer, I can just go over and erase. And that'll get rid of the areas that I didn't mean to shade earlier. And then we can hit Control D, or you can go to select, deselect to unselect that. Oh, hold on. I missed a spot. Okay, and then we're going to go back in and Control D. We're going to move on to the eyes. We're going to do the eye whites first. So I'm going to click W again on my layer tool, or I'm sorry, on my base colors layer. And then I'm going to go back to my shading layer. I should name this shading for you guys. Okay. And so I'm going to press I to select the color. And then I'm going to hit B to go back to that brush tool. I'm going to hit a color that's more towards purple. Oh wait, I'm sorry, we're doing the eye whites first. We're going to go kind of like a creamy gray. Ooh, nope. A little less. Yeah. You can either do creamy gray for this, or you can do like a light cool blue. Oh, sorry. More like this. And you can pick either of these two colors because one, we're using cool shadows, or the cream color because reflective light would make the eyes of the whites kind of a cream colored. So either. I think I like the purple one a bit more. And we're just gonna add that because your eyeballs are round, so we're gonna add it to the edges and the tops of the eye. And then we can kind of click J to make that less intense. Yes, okay. Neat. And then back to the B tool, and I'm gonna make it slightly darker. I'm gonna put a hard shadow in here. But only ever so slightly, and it's really subtle. But slowly building up on your subtleties is what builds your art. So that's cool. And then I'm gonna Control D, Control D to deselect, and then I'm going to move on to the blue of the eyes. So magic wand tool to select the color, go onto the shading layer. I've selected the blue color, and we're gonna go down and slightly more blue. So we're gonna follow like the shading that we did for the eyes, like the eyeballs. But we're also going to need to draw in the pupils, which pupils are like pretty dark. We're gonna go. Make sure they're the same size. And then how you do the eyes depends on you. What I like to do is I like to do it like this, where it's like really dark, the shading, and then I'm gonna add some of this blue back in here, this lighter blue, back into this area. Oof, hold on, that was too much. Yeah. And then we're gonna add some, this is gonna be with a hard brush, like the pen tool, and add some like, shininess to it. Like, and then we're gonna go completely white and add in the gloss, which I usually do like this. Or I do like this. Mm. Hmm. I think I liked the other way for this particular one today. Okay. And then Control D because we're done with that. Oh gosh, I need to work faster. I'm sorry, guys. Wand, tool, W. Okay. So brown, more towards red because that's closer to purple. B tool. Just, oh, Jesus. Okay. And then for this one, I'm going to make the highlights. I'm going to go pretty fast and also not very good. And I do apologize, just so I can show you color adjustments. Okay. I guess I won't get to the flowers or whatever, but that's okay. Forgot to. So more towards blue. We'll hit B. I'm selecting where I think there would be shadows, based off of what I put on my guide. This would also be a good time if like you have a really good reference picture to use those, to determine how you use your lighting. Okay. That is fine. We're going to hit Control D, and I'm going to show you how to do a color adjustment. Oh, wait. Let's go. Okay. Color adjustments. So I'm going to Control S to save, or you can hit File, Save, before we start making any changes. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy the girl and turn off the original, just so I have a backup. And this one that is girl copy, we're going to color adjust. We're going to do File. I'm sorry. It's been a while since I've done this. Layer. New layer correction. Hue, saturation, luminosity. And then you can change. Whew, you can change whatever is like turned on. This is going to change your colors. So it's moving it across the color wheel. And you can desaturate it and unsaturate it. So this is really good. So like, say you've got your thing and you want to make alternate color schemes. And you would hit, luminosity is going to make it darker or lighter. So I don't really ever mess with that one. Saturation is going to make it like more intense. Like, wow. It'll turn up the saturation, which brings it closer to this point on the color wheel, or I mean your color square. And then your hue changes what color it is. I wonder if there's a decent color I can get out of this. We can just do that, whatever. And this is on and off. Another way to do that is select color. No, I don't want to select my color gamut. You can do the brightness and contrast, which also helps you color correct. So, like, this turns down the brightness or up the brightness. So if you made something that's super not like super dark, you can turn up the brightness to make it lighter. Or if you made something too light, you can turn down the brightness, and then you can increase the contrast, which increases the saturation and the levels of white to black color. And like when you're looking at the, what's it called? Oh, here we go. We're gonna look at that. When you're looking at what your image has in it. Hold on. Let me merge these. And then we'll hit tonal correction. This will also, this is another way to do it. But it's, instead of limiting it to whatever you see, it's doing the layer itself. So this one you can't turn on and off if you do it this way. So that's why it's good to make a copy. You are also able to auto adjust. Whew, I don't, okay. But we're gonna hit cancel because I don't know what it was thinking there. And you can also do it this way too. So instead of changing the background like it was before, it's only changing the girl that we had selected. And so that's how you do color adjustments. You can also select, you can select by color gamut, but we're not gonna go over that because that's a complicated. Okay, so you've got your finished thing. And let's say you want to make it transparent. Oh wait, hold on. Before we do that, I'm going to hit W and I'm going to hit this expand selected area and I'm going to do 15 and I'm going to hit OK. That's going to make an outline and I'm just going to make a new layer. We're going to turn for multiple off and we're just going to fill in this so it kind of looks like a sticker. But we're going to turn off this pink layer and we're going to turn off the paper layer at the bottom so you can see the transparency grid. And I'm going to hit File. I should probably save before we do this. And then we're going to export as a single layer and we're going to do PNG. PNG is a lossless image file that allows for transparency. So we're going to hit Flower Girl PNG. We're going to hit Save. It's going to bring up this box that says Preview Rendering Result on Output. We want that clicked so that we can see what type of file, what the file is going to look like. And you can scale the ratio from original. If you do that, it's going to change the image size, or you can specify the output size. I like to scale it from ratio so it keeps it proportionate. But you can see that your original file size is 10 by 10 inches at 300 dpi, which is dots per inch, which is good for printing because that's the print standard. And we can hit OK. And then we can see that only the transparency grid is there, so that's OK. And when we go to open our file, oops, sorry, I didn't want to do that. I want to click it. You can see that it's transparent. So there's no background. If you want a background, you can like turn this pink layer back on and you can hit file, save as, oh, sorry, file, export single layer. You can still keep it as a PNG because that's better than a JPEG, because JPEG, the more it's clicked on and opened, it loses resolution and becomes more pixelated. So I like using a PNG all the time. So I'm gonna name this one Flower Girl 2. We'll hit OK. Everything's the same. And then when this one's open, it does have a background. So those are 2 ways to save your files, either with transparency or without transparency. And yeah, that's how you make an illustration and then in Clip Studio. And then did anybody have any questions for me? Thank you, Jenny. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for coming here today. And then I hope that everybody has fun with drawing and has a good day. And I'll see you around, I guess. No, this is only a 2-part thing. If we'll see, like, I don't know, but right now it's only the 2 parts. Yeah. I should have centered her. There's 2. Okay. Yeah. And then I'm gonna save this. And thank you everybody for coming here today. And have a good day.